Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tom's Hardware Live. We're sitting down with hardware vendors at the all-virtual CES 2021 to get a sneak peek at what they have planned for this year. I'm your host, Sharon Harding, Tom's Hardware Senior Editor, and joining us today is Michelle Earhart, Tom's Hardware Staff Writer. How are you,
Hello.
Michelle?
I'm good.
And we also have Mark Tekinoff from HyperX here. How are you, Mark?
Really good, Sharon. How you been?
Doing well. Normally at CES, I'd be stopping by the HyperX suite and checking out the cool gaming peripherals you guys are showcasing this year. But this year, I kind of get to do the same thing, but with our great viewers. So just like if you're at CES, if you're watching this right now, we want you to ask questions. If you have anything to ask Mark, just drop your question into the chat on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll try to answer them live on the air. So Mark, what is HyperX showing off at CES this year?
Well, we're showing quite a few things. Let me give you an idea. One second. We're showing a couple brand new products this week, and we're also announcing a couple other products that have gone global. So if you see my screen, I'll just go ahead and just jump into it. So actually, we have 5 products that we're showing this week at the Digital CES or CES Digital. A couple of them are a new keyboard and a charging station, along with some products that we launched in the fourth quarter that we are now expanding beyond the United States out and making it a global product. First one I wanted to show you, talk about, was our Ally Origins 60 mechanical gaming keyboard. You know that last year we did 2 launches with Ducky where we did collaborations and we used their basic mechanical design. They used our mechanical switches and we did collabs. And interestingly enough, in less than a day, or actually in several hours, both of the collabs were sold out very quickly. So we found that the 60% market was something that had a demand for more keyboards. So we came out with the Ally Origin 60. So 60% keyboard form factor using our red quiet switches, which have an 80 million lifetime click rating. And we're also using our own double shot PBT keycaps, which are more durable than the typical ABS keycaps that you'll find on lesser expensive entry-level keyboards, basically.
I already see a viewer happy about that.
Good to hear, because it's PBT keycaps are much more durable and longer lasting. And typically, if you're going to buy something with ABS, they'll last a couple years. But if you're a really hardcore gamer and you beat on the keys very heavily, you're going to wear out certain buttons over time. So PBT is a much better way of going. Aluminum body. All of our Alloy Origins keyboards have a aluminum frame. And the switches are RGB backlit. So there's a way of doing radiant lighting with them, makes it a much brighter effect, and I'll show you that in a second. And it is controlled by our Ingenuity software, and it is going to be available starting in February.
I noticed it has a graphics space bar. What does that mean exactly?
Let me show you when we're done showing a handful of slides. We'll go to big screen and I can show you visually what it looks like. It's pretty cool what they did with it. Typically in the 60% market, vendors or consumers are wanting or expecting something extra in the box, and we designed that specialty space bar that does that, and it's pretty cool. I'll show you in a second.
Stay tuned.
Also, the second product that we are revealing here at Digital CES this week is a charging station for Xbox Series X or Series S controllers. So last year in 2020, we released the product that was for the Xbox One specifically. And our engineering department went back in and made some additional adjustments and designed some additional battery doors that allows you to have access to the battery pack that we provide and to put it onto our charging station. So we include the battery doors, we include the 1400 milliamp rechargeable batteries, charging, and basically the charging station, which allows anybody that's using any Xbox to either charge their Xbox One devices or, again, Series X or Series S. And it is an officially licensed charging station with Xbox. And
so this can charge Xbox One as well.
Correct. Correct.
Are you? Do you have any plans to release something like this for PlayStation?
So we actually have a product that is a PlayStation version of our charging station that we do have that was originally designed for PlayStation 4, and it is compatible with the PlayStation 5, although it may not be marked on the box because at the time that it came out, PlayStation 5 didn't exist. So basically, if you were to grab it, use it, plug it in, it does work. So we do support both Xbox and PlayStation. In addition to those two first-time reveals, we are going global with the Pulsefire Haste, which is our ultralight hex-designed mouse, which is 59 grams, which is considered an ultralight in today's market. And people always ask whether you're going to have problems with dust falling in through the hex design. And one of the things we did to get around that problem that people saw was we're using TTC Golden Micro switches, which are dust-proof. So essentially, if you were to look at the slide, you see the picture of the switch. There's a plastic case around the switch to prevent dust from getting inside. So it's one way of making sure that it's a long-lasting mouse.
So why don't all mice include that? Is there an extra? I'm guessing there's an extra cost associated with it.
It's either cost or maybe other vendors are just using the typical switches that they already have available, and they may not have taken that extra step in making sure that they're dust proof.
What is the benefit to a hex shell design?
The benefit is lighter weight. So how do you make a mouse any lighter than it is already? The only way you can typically do it is either you make the design thinner, and then you have long-term reliability issues if you did that, or you cut holes in it to remove weight from the design. So to get under 60 grams, about the only way you can do that with a high-quality, durable mouse is to punch or design it so that it's a hex shell design.
Yeah, and
So
if you,
it's
of
mainly a
course,
weight design.
we do have a review of this mouse on our site, so definitely check it out if you're curious. I mean, these honeycomb style mice are getting more and more popular, I would say, especially with FPS gamers because they're so light. You could just like fling them around like mad.
Yeah, definitely. And
I mean,
typically,
skillfully, of course, skillful.
I think that depending on the user, I mean, either you're going to love it or you're not. Either you love it ultra light mouse or you like the standard type, or you may even be really, really old school and want something with weights in it, which are not sold anymore typically. But the majority of the market is moving toward lighter than heavier at this point, and that's why we came out with the Haste gaming mouse. And it comes up with some additional skates, comes with some grip tape to make it a better grip if that's what you're looking for. And again, this is customizable with our Ingenuity software also in 49 bucks. Cloud 2 Wireless initially was launched here in the United States in the fourth quarter of 2020, and now we're expanding it out to go global and sell it into multiple countries. So it does have the wireless characteristics that people want to see with 38 hours of battery life. Great surround sound, immersive audio sound. 20 meters wireless range is typical, but actually, I'm actually in their office. I think there's 2 people or 3 people in the physical office today, and I can go more like 30 or 40 meters and 3 walls between me and the wireless connector, and I still get sound. So it just depends on your location, but 20 meters is the spec on it.
And that's what you're wearing right now?
That's what I'm wearing right now.
Okay. So this is what the audio quality sounds like, I guess, compressed through various streaming platforms. But.
Right. Again, I don't know this streaming platform, how much compression it has, but how does it sound? Decent?
Yeah, you sound clear to me.
Yeah.
And of course, we have a review of this headset too on tomshardware.com, so you can check out our unbiased opinions of it. But yeah, right now you definitely sound crystal clear. You don't sound muffled or tinny.
And it all depends on how close you put the mic. If you bring it out further, you're of course going to lose a certain amount of it. If you bring it too close, you might end up with a little bit of other noise from getting too close to the P's and T's and the S's. But it's a pretty solid sound, I think, and it is durable. It has the typical comfort that you expect from a HyperX headset, and 149 bucks. Again, in the U.S., it's selling very well, and now we're expecting it to expand it out to many more countries. And the last one is the Revolver S, which is our 7.1 surround sound with the double fork design. It's a little different design than a Cloud 2 or a Cloud Alpha style. And people are like that design because it's a little bit more old school as far as the audio construction of it, how it fits on your head with a little bit of the clamping on it. And it includes a USB audio controller that allows you to turn the 7.1 on and off. And whenever we do a 7.1 sound, we basically use high school, college, and professional level reviewers, internal reviewers, or focus groups to listen to the sound and give us what type of requirements they're looking for. How much bass, how crisp it should be, what the mid-range should be, which is typically the voice range. And they're listening for particular sounds, which we take into our engineering labs and tune it to get the best sound for our particular audience, our focus groups. And as always, comfortable and durable. And again, mechanically noise cancellation at $149. So
is there a big difference between what high schoolers are looking for and what college students are looking for?
There is a little difference. I don't know specifically, but I do know that in certain segments of our market, some people like a little more treble. They want a little more pitchy sound so they can hear this gunshots or rifle shots. So it's specific, it's not an age question, it's a what game do you play question.
So see, I would be thinking that high schoolers would prefer a bit more bass for like the music that they listen to.
Well, on the music side, yes. But if you're gaming, you're looking for two things. You're looking for the sound of the gunshots, directionality, where it's coming from. And also you're looking for that bass rumble when a tank goes by or some other sound. But when you're playing a game, you're using a lot of these as basically ways of looking for and finding where the enemy is. So, and that's typically the higher frequencies.
Do I know the Revolver has a USB audio controller. Does it have any? That was me trying to fiddle. Does it have any other USB accessories or things you can plug into it, or can you make it wired if you want to? Or
well, you're talking about the Revolver or the Cloud 2 wireless?
Yeah, the Revolver.
The Revolver is a wired headset.
Okay, my bad.
No, that's fine. So it comes as a wired headset with a plug on it, but you can either plug it directly into your Xbox or PlayStation device directly into the player, or you can plug it into the USB connection and plug it into a PC or PlayStation.
Okay.
So you have both options. It's not hardwired into the headset. So you could go either route depending on how you like to play.
Gotcha. Very cool. Yeah. So this is our HyperX's lineup for CES this year. If you have a question for Mark, drop it into the chat. We'll try to get to it on the show. But in the meantime, Mark, I think you have some of these products to show us.
Yeah, I would like to show you the two that we're revealing this week, and they're both plugged into my computer. So I'm going to be very gentle about this. So basically, when you look at it, this is a full-size alloy on top, and this is the 60%. If you look at it, basically, when you're looking at a 60% design, you're removing the keypad. You're also losing the arrows and everything that's off onto one side, and all you have is the F keys and the alphanumerics below it. So you want something with a very small form factor, so that when you're playing, you have a lot more space for the mouse pad and for the mouse activity. And what we did with this sample, so it comes with a standard spacebar, but inside the box we have two custom keycaps that are included. One is the HyperX.
It's not quite on screen.
Keycap. Well, I'm starting with this.
Okay.
And then I will do a reveal. So basically, it's a HyperX keycap that you can place wherever you want to put it. And then for the actual space bar, it's designed basically where I won't call it a cutaway. It's the way it's designed. It allows you to see the lighting below it. And if you look closely, I'm not sure if you can see the texturing in this particular screen, but it's actually etched into the plastic.
So you can feel the swirls if you ran your finger across it.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it. I think the space bar to change that keycap has such a dramatic effect on the whole keyboard. Like I love a decorative space bar. So is that space bar keycap double shot PBT as well?
The additional one is an ABS because of the fact that you want to do the special designing. ABS was a much better, easier way of getting that to market. Because it's an additional spacebar, it's not the standard on the board. Yeah, everything standard is PBT.
Mm-hmm.
The additional one is ABS, but it is very cool looking. Absolutely.
And Greenbits points out that it's a bit like Ducky, which I know you guys, HyperX, you collaborated with Ducky before on your 60% keyboard. Did you get that idea from Ducky to bring in the designer space bar? Is that tied to your relationship with Ducky at all?
We may have learned some things from them, but they're not the only ones that are typically going out to market with some specialty keycaps. Keycaps are very personal or personalized depending on what people are wanting to do with them. And there are actually people that collect keycaps that are very, very, very expensive, which is not our market, but you can spend multiple, I wouldn't say how much, it would be large amounts of money for keycaps that are customized. So it just depends on what a person's looking for. For us, we wanted to give it some sort of a differentiator, and the space bar is the easiest and the largest piece of material on the board to do that with. So yeah, it is a common practice for customized keyboards, and it's not a bad thing to say that it's very similar to Ducky, because Ducky is probably one of the most well-known 60% keyboards in our marketplace. So it's not a negative. I take that as a compliment. And then I just want to show you, if we have another minute or two to show the actual charge play. So right now, I'll just remove the two controllers and just show you what it looks like. So this is the device. It does plug in with a cable for charging purposes. It does have the metal points that when you attach it on here, it sits on it on the mount and does the charging. Also, on the back, you can see we said we bring some additional battery doors. This is one of those doors. So this is what the battery that comes in the box along with the door, and we basically snap it on, and it allows you to align the charging points of the battery to the charger itself. So it's very easy, very elegant way of doing charging for an Xbox device. And if you are the typical person that uses AA batteries, you're going to go through a lot of AA batteries in your game time. So it makes a lot of sense, and actually over time probably saves time and money by going with something that has this on it. And again, we support both Xbox One or the X or Series S, sorry.
Very cool.
So those are pretty exciting products for us. This digital CES.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because my media table is just like piles of controllers, and when I want to charge one, I have to bring it over to my nightstand, and like sleeping next to a controller feels kind of weird. So it'd be nice to have a dedicated area.
We have a question also from Greenbits about the keyboard, asking, is it micro USB or USB-C?
USB-C. So.
And with the keycap, are there any plans for HyperX to include additional space bars or keycaps in general with either your current mechanical keyboards or upcoming releases?
It's something that they're always looking at doing and expanding the number of customizations in each of the boxes. But for now, this particular one is the first one with a fancy space bar. And in the future, they haven't announced it specifically to us, but the engineering guys are always looking for ways to differentiate and do things differently.
Absolutely. Was there any particular philosophy or like aesthetic that you wanted to get when you chose the design for the spacebar that you did, or?
That's a great question for the artist that designed it, and I don't know the backstory for it. It's actually probably a good story, but they wanted to do something unique and different than they've seen anywhere else in the market. I mean, a lot of people have done other things. We actually, when we did the collaboration with Ducky, we did something that included the year of the, and I don't remember which animal it was for Chinese New Year, and
I think
also the space
last year
bar.
was the rat, but
But it also had a Happy New Year space bar as
I
well.
have it.
oh,
You get that.
So I actually thought they were bunnies at first, but it was not the year of the rabbit. So that's how I learned it's the year of the rat. But yeah, I mean, at least from like with this key cap, you could see like there's some bricks here where the RGB is able to pop through. So I
Yes.
think, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here, but with the swirls there, it just creates like a whole wave of space for the RGB to come through and mesmerize and all that great stuff that people love about RGB. We do have another question from Javier regarding the switches of the 60% keyboard. Are they changeable?
No. So there are some designs on the market that are changeable, but none of our products will allow you to remove the switches easily and replace them. So they come with the keys attached.
So these are this 60% keyboard has your HyperX's red switches, and I know you guys make other mechanical switches. Will you be making those available in this form factor?
If it's anything like the other designs that we've brought to market, probably yes. I don't, again, have the roadmap that says it specifically, but if you look at our full-size alloy keyboards, we started out with one single color, and I believe that one started with the blue switch. Then we added the red, and then we added the brown, which is the mid-range switch. Actually, it depends on the market that you're trying to sell to as well. Professionals or people that want to hear that high pitch of the tick or click, they're looking for blues. But the majority of the market wants something that has a nice smooth effect to it as they're using it, and that's the reds. So the majority of our sales is actually red switches. So probably and most likely whenever we do a new launch, it always starts with a red switch, and then we'll expand to blues, and then brown is not as popular because it's not loud and it's not smooth. It's kind of in the middle. I look at it as it's a market where people are not sure which side they want to be on, overly smooth or overly loud, so they choose the middle ground. But the majority of them are using reds.
What is your preferred mechanical switch, Mark?
Well, because we're in an office with 35 people, when we first started doing this, we all received blues all on the same day. We all received blue switch alloy keyboards. And the sound in the office went from here before lunch to here. And for that purpose alone, I went to red switches just to cut the sound back a little bit. But typically, I like the sound and the click action of a blue myself.
I always have, but I've got to say, last week doing CES briefings and trying to take notes while listening, the clickiness of I was using Razer green switches, which are similar to blues, really loud and clicky. And it was interrupting my note taking.
Yes.
I was noticing that as well.
Yeah. Well, that's like I said, you take 35 people and you go from a regular traditional keyboard and switch it to blues over lunch. The room just sounded really, really loud. So either you love it or you don't. There's not much middle ground on it.
Yeah.
And the guys that like blues, well, they were in heaven. And the people that wanted a little bit less, they were, they waited for the reds to come out.
And because sometimes of course, we'll record briefings or interviews for note-taking purposes, and I listen to the notes later, and it's just me hammering away on this clicky keyboard. I might switch to brown for work. We'll see.
Yeah, and the other thing is, it depends. If you're in a apartment with 3 people and you're working at 11 o'clock at night, you probably don't want to use blue switches, because the 3 other people in your apartment are not going to be happy with you because they'll hear it and you'll be waking them up probably.
I noticed that work from home has really changed the even the devices that I use.
Definitely. Michelle, what do you use, blues or reds?
Right now, I actually use Razer Optical switches, but I also have a red keyboard, and I've reviewed a few brown keyboards for us. So I've had a fair bit of experience. It really depends on whether I'm gaming or typing.
Right.
Which is unfortunate because I do both, whether I'm working or off the clock.
Sure. Yep.
Which Michelle, you actually brought up an interesting point. I feel like we're seeing a lot of these gaming brands come out with optical mechanical switches now. Mark, I'm curious what you think about this trend with all these optical mechanical switches coming out from different brands. They're all making their own.
At this point, HyperX hasn't decided to get into the optical market yet. We're still pretty much 100% a gaming company. Optical is not what you would consider a traditional professional gaming switch. So you're now kind of moving more into the general market when you go to an optical. Maybe in the future, and I know for sure that HyperX is always looking at ways to expand and grow our market. And if we at some point decide that we want to do a pure consumer type of a keyboard, we may go into some other ways. We do have at least one mechanical or a membrane keyboard already in our set. So it just depends on what your purpose is and what you're using it for. But for us, for now, we're not moving in that direction, not at least at CES 2021.
That's interesting because a lot of the brands try to market the optical mechanical switches as being like ultra fast and giving you a gaming edge due to, fighting debouncing and things like that. But is that not what you're hearing that pro gamers are actually interested in?
Well, it's more of see what they all use in their normal professional careers.
Mm-hmm.
And most want a mechanical keyboard, and most would like to have blues because they want to hear the action. They don't want to look at the keyboard. They want to sense it using every sensory perception that they have, including audio. So when you hit it, when you hear the blue key, you know that you hit it. If you're using a linear or an optical, you're not probably going to get that same auditory effect.
That reminds me of old school fight sticks, actually, in arcades. Definitely a lot of people like to have audio feedback as well.
Yeah. That's a few years ago, people were putting haptics in it or vibration into things, and it didn't really go very well because there was a latency or lag time in headsets. We never did a haptic headset, but because the mechanics takes a little while to get wound up and start vibrating. So people want that sensory, and people at one time were building vests with some sort of vibrations to do the same type of thing. So the more feedback a person can get to a point, that's what we're looking for. So that's where we're at right now for gaming. Blue switches, I'm sticking to it.
I want to quickly ask you a question about the Xbox controller charger, and we have a comment worried about the quality of the doors and potentially breaking. Can you talk anything about what you guys did to help with durability and ensure that something like they don't break at all?
Well, you'd have to just put them in your hands and look at them and touch them. They're pretty solid the way that they did the design. And I know everything we have at least has a minimum of a 1-year warranty of anything we manufacture. In the case of the headsets, it's longer than that. So I don't see an issue with it. We have our name and our brand is known for durability and quality and long lasting, no matter what product it is. So I know that if it is something that has an issue, they would fix it. But the way it's designed right now, we believe it's pretty solid.
Fair.
The best way to do is just try it and see.
Yeah, which is why I wish I was in CES.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I could CES. I could just take it off and I could hand it to you, and then you can, then you can not only see it, but you can feel how durable it is and solid it is.
Well, do you have any details about when we'll be able to get our hands on it, or our viewers?
It would be mid-February.
Great.
So that's both for the charger and the keyboard, correct?
Correct. Yeah, both products are going to be in the mid-February using the HyperX shop site. They'll be available at both locations, or both products will be available on US Shop.
Very cool. And we have a question from Javier. Let's see if we can tackle this. What does HyperX recommend plugging their headphones into? Inboard sound chips or something else? Does that?
Okay, that question, I'm not sure where he's headed with it. But so you're looking at the original cloud headset was a headset with a plug on it. So if you were to take that product, you could plug it into the back of a motherboard. You could plug it into a PlayStation 4, any device that had a jack on it, and you get a certain amount of sound. What you're doing, if you're saying, do you want to enhance the sound, then you would use some sort of a device that does that. So that's why what we do is we include the 7.1 surround sound USB dongle as the package for the Revolver. So we give you that in the box. I'm not sure where you're headed with that question exactly, other than that.
Yeah, I think that's helpful.
I mean, in the old days when you had a motherboard or you had a PC that you would plug it into, in certain motherboards had some pretty nice surround sound effects in them. But that means you have to have the right PC, and you have to be close enough to it, or you need an extension of the cable in order for you to get access to it. So we just simplified things by just including it in the box.
Awesome. I think we've gone through most of our questions here. Did you have anything else you wanted to ask Michelle before I give Mark away to the monsters of CES?
I think we've probably kept him around long enough, but thank you for joining us.
No worries. I'll go put my walking shoes on. I'll get another 3 or 4 miles in this afternoon.
Well, let me just mention real quick, if you all are already curious about the Pulsefire Haste or the Cloud 2 Wireless, our reviews are up on the site. Stay tuned, as we definitely want to be checking out these other products. The full-size Ally Origins is actually on our Best Gaming Keyboards page right now, so I definitely look forward to checking out the 60% version and being less productive, because I need arrow keys to do work, but I still have
There you go.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, when I go through Word documents and I edit, I'm always just going up, or left, right?
Learning about Sharon's writing habits here.
You'll still have them, but they're going to be on a shared button.
Oh, you do have them side printed?
Yeah, they're side printed. Yeah.
Okay, that's better than nothing.
But that means you need a function key to make them work. But right.
Right.
So I think you would love trying it out, but I think you probably want to go back to something else if you like your arrow keys.
Yeah. But I'll give it a fair review, of course. Before we wrap up, I just want to let everyone know that we'll be back live again in just a few minutes at 5 p.m. Eastern time for our next CES live stream, which will be with Thermal Take. So be sure to like Tom's Hardware on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the CES live streams today or throughout the week. Mark Tekinoff, thanks so much for stopping by. Do you have any last words for our viewers?
Thank you very much. And if you have any other questions, just look at the HyperXGaming.com site. We have a lot of information there.
Awesome.
And thank you for including us in your CES coverage this week.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us, Michelle, too. And that is our show. We'll see you next time.